Retro anime. How did we find it? How does it hold up? Unpacking the ins and outs of being an old school nerd and proving that 80s kids can't remember a damn thing right. These are the mindless midlife musings of the anime nerd.
Welcome to Mindless Midlife Musings of the Anime Nerd. I'm Rick, and I'm joined by the rest of our panel, Lynette, Vic, and Brian. Hello, everyone.
Hey, what up? Yeah.
Today- Right?
That
We're good. Today,
That
we travel
works.
from Japan to Nekonron China as we help Ranma Saotome rescue his fiance Akane from the 7 Lucky Gods in Ranma 1/2 Big Trouble in Nekonron China.
Yeah, I'll stop you real quick.
You can.
Can you try it with like the way the song goes? Big trouble. Nekonron China. Can you?
Pass.
PTSD, Brian.
I can't. How can I top that performance?
Oh, I did. I set the bar really low. The bar was set really, really low.
No, I think you nailed it. I do. We'll interlay the music. Ranma 1/2, the Battle of Nekonron China, Fight to Break the Rules, is known in the West as Ranma 1/2 Big Trouble in Nekonron China. It is the first film in the Ranma 1/2 franchise, the action romance comedy series Ranma 1/2, based on the manga created by Rumiko Takashi. The film was released in November of 1991. The series is adapted into 2 anime series produced by Studio Dean from 1989. In addition to the series, they made 12 OVA and 3 films. The first series ran for 18 episodes and was canceled due to low ratings in 1989. They switched.
What a mistake.
Oh, yeah. Well, they switched time slots and then ran series 2 for 143 episodes from 89 to 92. Both the manga and anime series were licensed by Viz Media for English language releases in North America in 1993. So, we made an executive decision not to cover Ranma 1/2 because it's like almost 200 fucking episodes.
It's a lot. There's, I mean,
Right.
let's even imagine half the panel can say
Right.
they've seen everything Ranma 1/2.
I don't even know that we could. It's Lord knows I've tried. It is, I think Andrea, our producer, I think she's probably watched more Ranma because I think she actually sat down and watched episodes.
Yep, that's me. And at the ripe age of 17, I sat in Rick's living room and watched all of Ranma 1/2 because I loved it so much. Okay, back to my basement, bye.
It's a lot. It's a lot of content. This isn't even like, I mean, this is nothing. This is a drop in the bucket compared to, say, like One Piece. But for us in the 90s, what we've got to point out is Ranma 1/2, yeah, sure, it's 161 episodes and 12 OVAs and 3 films, sure. But it was the most, and probably still is, one of the most expensive anime to get. When you were,
We only got what, an episode or 2 per VHS tape at the day?
Right, and they were like $35.
Yeah.
Per tape, which it was an insanely high bar to get into this anime. And sailing the 7 seas was not as easy back in those days.
Now,
So-
Not for a 240p or 240i video.
we never really spoken about like if it's on like broadcast TV or anything like that. Is this one of
Mhm.
those that was on broadcast TV like a
In Japan,
Japan?
you're right. So in Japan, the TV series was, and then the films were, I believe, theatrically released. The 3 movies that they made.
I think so.
The 12 OVAs, obviously direct to video. The
So-
no, go ahead.
is that something that is released on a weekly basis or
Ranma 1/2, the series, yeah, weekly. It would have been a weekly thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So it ran from 89 to 92, 161 episodes, probably a little more. Yeah. So like roughly once a week. Yeah. And I mean, not for nothing. It's the manga sold over 55 million copies. It's one of the best selling series of all time. This is one of those granddaddies of anime. Like,
You will pay for it if you want to get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
you're gonna
still
pay-
will. I mean, Viz still
Yeah.
holds the US license for it, and it's still not cheap.
They do not play around. It is a very long series. So we as a team decided not to cover the series itself, but we would take this opportunity to watch the films because they're a little more easy to digest, a little easier to talk about. And since Ranma 1/2 is now in remake territory, we figured it was a good time to talk a little bit about Ranma.
Rick, I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask you some questions.
But go ahead.
Let's say we have in your 100 top 100. 1 is the top. 100 is the worst.
Okay.
All right. So let's put at the top. Let's say Super Dimensional Fortress Macross is to be there for you, right?
Sure. Right.
Gunbuster would be where?
Oh, easily right there with it. Like probably second, third place. It's fantastic. Like
All
it's up
right.
there. Top 5.
3x3 Eyes is where?
It's like like 50, 40, somewhere in there. No, like 50. Somewhere over there.
Burn Up is where?
Wait. You gotta specify burn up because there are different burn ups.
The one we
Like-
covered was W. And
All right.
and W ain't even gonna make my top 100.
So you say
That's not. You talking about just top 100 or just a spectrum of awesome to shit? If it's a spectrum of awesome to shit, it's way at the bottom. It's shit. It's a steaming pile of shit.
all right. So then we have Butt Attack Punisher Girl. I'm sorry. Before Butt Attack Punisher, 3x3 Eyes.
Right, which I said about 50% down. That's,
All right. Then we have Butt Attack Punisher Girl.
Butt Attack Punisher Girl is below 3x3 Eyes by a wide margin. But it is
All right.
above Burn Up W. I'm going to
So
go
where would you put
80.
Ranma 1/2
As a whole,
as a
Ranma-
whole?
as a whole, Ranma 1/2 is by top 25%. Like it's top 25%. One of my favorite anime series. I love this. I think it's so smart in just on so many levels that we don't give it enough credit.
Yeah, I would have said like top 20, so we're in the same range.
Okay.
So,
Teflone?
yeah. It's down there with Butt Attack Punisher Girl. They live in the same cul-de-sac.
Was the Escaflowne the one that we realized that wasn't for us? No. That one was
We talked for over 4 hours about Escaflowne, like as a team. So I feel like we gave it a fair shake.
And
No,
I think
not-
it's like only half of us liked it, but it was like the last couple of episodes.
Right. Like
it
it
was-
needs.
it wasn't Escaflowne I was trying to bring up. But that's a movie. So we're talking about series right now. Never mind.
Yeah. It's all
I
good.
digress.
So this is anime royalty is Ranma 1/2.
You would agree with that statement?
Then it's anime royalty? Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would.
Whoa. Lynette shaking her head like, do you have experience with Ranma 1/2?
I've only seen a few episodes. I haven't had a chance. I knew it was good when my uncle took the time to purchase DVDs. Like he was very particular about his anime that he purchases, and he went out of his way to buy those. And
Now,
some
this
of
is
them
a-
are open region and not subtitled. And that he went to that length to get them, and I was like, okay, this is a good anime. If
Okay, all right.
someone's
That's
going
a-
to that length to do it. But I've seen a
So-
few episodes, so
So we have been exposed to Lynette's family, and by now we have her mother, who she has to be careful about where she watches it, especially with location with,
Depending on what she's watching.
depending on what she's watching. We have also heard about her father, who was the one that did it Ninja Scroll with her, right? With that grandpa.
grandfather.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
grandfather, and now we have uncle.
There you go.
Okay.
Generational
Well-
anime here.
Vic,
Just my brother.
but how do you feel about this?
About
Ranma.
what specifically? Ranma?
Ranma? Where
Yeah.
he said he gauges it about where I do.
Yeah, top 20% for sure.
Okay.
Where are you at with this, Brian? I feel like you're coming in with the flip on this.
I have never seen an episode of Ranma.
I am so glad to hear that. And this had to be wild for. But did you know the premise of Ranma before we jumped
Knew
in?
the premise of it, like
Okay.
All right, so this is back when we're back in high school,
Right.
and I was more of the horny teenager in terms of the type of anime that I wanted to watch.
No,
For
so
sure.
you only wanted to watch Yudasoki Doji.
Hey, no
Hey,
judgment here. This is a
we
safe
all did.
space.
We
That's
all
right.
did. I didn't buy it. Y'all motherfuckers exposed it to me.
You
So
ain't
what the
wrong.
fuck you want?
Go on.
That's like the crack dealer getting mad at me for getting hooked.
We'll bring
No,
logic into this.
Bring it back to Ranma. So you understood the premise, but you never really gave it a shake.
No, I never gave a shit about it, but I recognize there are so many characters I was exposed to, like, oh, shampoo. Oh, you know what I'm saying? I kept on hearing Akane and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, this is where we come to in life. It felt like a full circle for me.
So Ranma has this is how we know that we are firmly in the midlife musings, is now we are to the age where our anime is being remade, and Ranma
Yeah.
is an anime that has been remade and is now airing currently on Netflix.
Yep.
Which has been a wild ride for me to have to come to grips with my anime being remade.
Well, just think. I mean, Yurusei Yatsura they just finished that remake run.
That's right. I am glad that it's Rumiko Takashi's work that it is doing it, because I do feel like it's more approachable. It's more for broader audiences. I think it's a great kind of anime to get people into anime with.
Yes.
And that's what it feels. That's what it feels like. This feels like people who weren't, and especially when you get it exposed on like Netflix. If you weren't exposed to anime before, and then either how the hell does it get on my algorithm?
Right.
I would much rather this than say Burn Up.
Fair.
Burn Up W.
Without a doubt.
I don't give a damn. Burn Up W. I don't give a fuck.
So what's funny about Ranma is because it was so many episodes, because it was so fucking expensive, it was one of those anime that we definitely got introed to, and I personally viewed much of it out of order because it was just how accessible it was to me.
It's like, oh, here's an episode and I got money. I'm taking this.
Right. So I'd seen the very first 2 episodes because it was the first VHS tape, and I was like, this is hilarious. I love this. And then immediately our friend, Brian, not you, Brian, other Brian, gave us a copy of Nihao My Concubine, the second movie. So that was the third thing of Ranma I'd ever seen, was a movie. I'd watched so much of this out of order. And then I saw the episode where he got his cat phobia. Like after that, like everything is just like so out of order for me when it comes to Ranma. There's so much of it, and it came out of order because it was just so fucking expensive. And if you happen to have the $35 and a tape in front of you, you just grabbed it because you just didn't care. It was something you could afford. I'm gonna splurge this week. I'm gonna buy a Ranma. So yeah, this was one of those ones where I didn't see Big Trouble in Nekonron China first. It took me a while to come around to this particular movie, but it seemed like a good spot to start and maybe talk about Ranma. Just obviously the movie itself, but talk about Ranma as a product and what it was and how we were exposed to it. Vic, how did you start with Ranma?
It's all your fault.
Oh, okay, cool. I take full responsibility.
I'm pretty sure the 10 or 15 episodes that I did see previously, I probably saw at your place.
Awesome. Well, that means I'm doing something right.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time we start talking about how instrumental Valet House was to us in terms of not just anime. They had a whole fucking wall of just
We did.
of
we
movies.
We were a Blockbuster
Yes.
video. Yeah.
I expanded that too.
We were very much a
Man.
Blockbuster.
I guess it helped that his parents actually allowed us to use the big screen in the living room to watch as well.
We go.
That's all right. Yeah. We were very lucky. My father loved tech, so we had a big 42-inch rear projection TV. And so we would watch.
That bitch was hot.
We would watch tons of we would play video games on it. We would do whatever. So whenever we wanted to watch anime, we tried to get in front of that TV so we could actually
Okay.
see the damn anime.
I'm gonna. I just felt like we needed to talk about how important this one was for you. I now return you to your regularly
Regularly
schedule.
scheduled. Oh, that's fair. So for those of you who may not know, if you're listening to this episode, why? Just go watch Ranma. But the series backstory is that during your training journey in China, Ranma Saotome falls into a cursed spring. And ever since then, he is now cursed to turn into a girl whenever he is doused with water and changing back into a boy when exposed to hot water. This leads to so much comedic material, but it's such a clever premise and it's such a clever anime in the way it handles him switching genders. It's just it's just way ahead of its time. And what's great about it is you get that premise and you're like, okay, that's funny. But at the same time, then you get other characters like his father who changes into a giant panda,
Panda.
or Shampoo who changes into a cat, or Ryoga who changes into a little black pig. Like everybody's got
Everybody,
yeah, everybody wants to one-up Ranma, so everybody goes to these cursed springs to try and train to prove they're better than him, and every one of them ends up getting cursed. And it's great. This works out well. So
like, that's how you know they became like series regular.
you're right. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you've been cursed? Oh, you're gonna be around for a while. Got it. This film actually takes place after the 100th episode. Did I know this before tonight? No, I did not. But when I was doing the show notes, I found out that tidbit, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, great. But the thing about Ranma is if you can let go of not knowing backstory, each episode is almost a self-contained story. You may not know who the characters are, but you catch on real quick. Moose can't see for shit without his glasses. He's basically a male Velma, except when he gets doused with water, he turns into a goose. Once you figure that part out, any episode with Moose in it, you're good. You can catch up real quick. Everybody, there's a lot
Moose
of
gets turned into a goose.
yeah.
Go
Yeah.
figure, right?
There's a lot of
Goose to goose.
there's a lot of name puns in this. All the characters from China, there's Grandma Cologne and Shampoo and Moose. They're all self-care products. So there's those kind of bits. It's just a running thing. This particular anime does take us back to China, not for the Cursed Hot Springs, but for a rescue mission. It starts as just another typical day in Japan. The character of Happosai, who again I didn't know before I saw the second movie, is running around stealing women's underwear, as he is off to do.
It's what he does.
And then Ranma catches him. Ranma then, of course, through a misunderstanding, is blamed for the entire thing because Akane just can't chill for 2 seconds.
A little short-tempered.
No.
For 2 fucking seconds.
And blames Ranma because he, of course, has a long history of doing that shit, right? So, anyway, she goes off the handle. The whole thing escalates in the way only Ranma 1/2 can.
Escalates. Oh my god.
Yes.
I've been trying to think of.
I knew it was gonna build. It was like, what was that? That commercial where everybody just starts following the one person, and next thing you know, it's like this huge mob. Yeah.
It's just like that. Yeah, this whole thing fucking escalates to just in the way only Ranma can. And it ends up being just a wild chase through the streets
But
of
it felt
Japan.
like it was like an introductory chase.
Right. It was
It
sort of just like,
quickly-
in case you didn't know, this character's here too. Hey, this character's here too. A lot of them were cameos for characters that don't get used often or aren't in it often or appear in the manga. But a lot of it was a roll call. That's really what it was.
Right.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they did a good job of showing who this person was going after.
Yeah.
Quickly, they were quickly establishing. Oh, Akane's gone. So then next thing everybody chasing Akane is
Right.
going. Oh, Shampoo's now going after Ranma. All right, now you can see everybody going after that. I mean, it was
Right. And then all of a sudden there's a giant cat and there's like you're just like, what the fuck is going on? It's
like,
again,
so they take off
escalation.
quickly. They take
Escalation
off.
the only way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only way.
It's like an aircraft.
It's great. It's so
it's an
good.
aircraft carrier of propulsion in terms of how.
Yeah,
goes.
the thing about Ranma is you have to be ready to embrace the lunacy of what you're about to experience. And I think that's as long as you can come into any Ranma episode knowing full well you're about to experience some level of absurdity, you can have a good time. It's sort of like, and I dare to make the comparison, but like with Golden Boy. Golden Boy was only 6 episodes, but with every episode, you knew he was going to do some off the wall stupid shit. And as soon as you were mentally prepared for just the shit that was going to come out of Kintaro's mouth, you knew you were going to have a good time. It's similar with Ranma. You know these characters are going to misunderstand each other. It's going to escalate. There's going to be some crazy, absurd 7 lucky gods martial arts, because of course that's what they are. Like everybody's got a shtick. And as soon as you're in for that silliness, then you're going to have a great time. And that's any Ranma anime. This film, no different.
Now, that's a brilliant, especially now. We look for so much content.
Yeah.
Or not just content. We look for it has to flow and stuff like that.
Right.
It was an overload of absurdity at one point in time. They're like, you know what? If I try to make this follow my typical rules,
Yeah.
I would go insane. So I needed to go ahead and just ride into it my damn self.
Yeah.
And I have to admit, it made it a much easier watch knowing that.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't bury the lead that it's going to be a comedy. They don't bury the lead very much so in this that there's going to be a lot of sexual innuendo. Literally, the guy's running around panty raiding in the first 2 minutes of the movie. Like it's
Right.
they and because of that, you're put at ease a little easier. You're put at ease faster. You can you're like, okay, this is there's 85 people chasing down this redhead with a pigtail. This is going to be insane. And it helps. It helped. It really did. It was a good way to introduce the events of the film. Anyway, they of course, Hapasai gets punted into orbit as he often gets done. And
You're doing so well with how you're saying that. You're doing. I gotta commend you on that. He gets often punted into orbit. Yeah, he does.
He does, without a doubt.
It's kind of like a Tom and Jerry.
1.5 tall.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's great.
That's what it is. It's the Roadrunner and the Coyote and Roadrunner effect. That
You're
whole
right.
Looney
It's
Tunes.
A little bit
in
of that
terms
Looney
of-
Tunes energy, without a doubt. That's the comedy of it, right? And Rumiko's really good at that. Like she does a good job with it. This is no different. It's everything about Ranma is people misunderstanding his gender, her gender, people misunderstanding their relationship with each other, people understanding that him misunderstanding Akane is actually in love with him, her misunderstanding Ranma is trying to be protective. Like there's just so much of that misunderstanding, and that's what leads to the calamity in the comedy. In this, Akane during this chase ends up holding on to a scroll. Very no big deal. She just happens to be holding it, and at this very moment, a flying vessel approaches from the sky, and Kirin, Lord of the 7 lucky gods, sees her with the scroll, and he's like, "I'm gonna marry that bitch." And like, it's like, wait a minute, hang on, and then they abduct her. Like, it's like just.
And he not once drops his rice bowl
Ever.
or his
He-
chopsticks.
Kirin never drops his rice bowl.
The sacred bowl of rice.
Or his pickled vegetables.
Or his pickled vegetables. That's right. So, Ranma 1/2 was dubbed by Viz for American audiences, Western audience specific. And it is often, by me, I regard it very high as a dub. They do a really good job with their localization. They keep it funny, entertaining. The voice actors do a good job. This film, on the other hand, they make the character Kirin and Lychee, they make them speak in third person, which is not something they do in Japanese. So it was certainly a choice. It gets old fast.
But I have to admit, once you look at the lens of it,
Yeah.
is it becomes a character trait, kind of like
Yeah.
like Elmer Fudd, like
Right.
the way Elmer Fudd would talk. That's what I actually felt like that.
And when it came to Kieran, I was kind of in because I'm just like, he's so arrogant. I can see him being the kind of person that speaks in third person,
Right.
you know? But with Lychee, it was very off-putting for me. I get past it. It's not like it was like, oh no, I'm not gonna like this anymore. It was one of those things like, well, that was an interesting choice that they chose to do that. I'd only ever seen it in English, so for me rewatching it, I wanted to rewatch it the way I did originally. And then as I was watching it, I'm going, this feels forced with her. Let me go see what it's like in Japanese. And I went, oh yeah, they just elected to do that. Again, it was a choice. With Kieran, I thought it landed. It was just a thing. I have no complaints about the dub other than that. That was just the only thing. So that's anyway. They steal Akane, Ranma's precious Akane, and it's I can't even like
Is he precious?
with Ranma. You can't be like, here's a story beat, here's a story beat, here's a story beat, because so much shit happens between story beats that you really kind of just have to experience it. But essentially, they steal Akane, one thing leads to another. They decide to venture to China to rescue Akane. And when I say they, as in typical Ranma fashion, it starts with Ranma being like, I'm going to go rescue Akane. And then his dad's like, oh, go with your boy. And then her dad's like, oh, go too. And then it's just like everybody, like people showing up out of the woodwork. And then just like, where are we going? And Kuno's like, you can take my vessel. It's like, fuck, what the? Okay, let's go. And everybody goes. This is Ranma. I love this shit. So they take off and they're paired up with Lychee and her elephant warrior Jasmine. No notes. Jasmine's great.
I love that elephant.
Jasmine punishing Hapasai in the first moments was just it was so good.
Perfect.
It's just great shit. Um, so yeah, they decide they have to go and they get on this tiny little boat and they try and make their way over there. They
like that. All of them
on Kuno's little
get
boat
on this tiny. It's all about skill.
His little vessel.
With his vessel, yes.
We owe to everybody to make sure that we give them the skill they know that our words are saying. Yeah.
This is fair. So there's like 50 people. Not really, but
on a four-person vessel.
Feels like that. On the boat Jack Sparrow sank in Port Royal. Like like on this little
50
boat.
people and an elephant.
And an elephant. That's right. Well, no, Lychee and Jasmine have their own boat.
And eventually they were all in the same.
Completely separate vessel, but they do all end up together. The Seven Lucky Gods are a Chinese group of martial artists led by Kieran. There's obviously 7 of them, each one representing various skill sets. One of them absolutely being a genuine like nod to Guan Yu of Three Kingdoms era. 100%. I didn't really catch any of the other nods, but when I saw him, oh man, it's Guan Yu. Okay, cool. It's a not tower defense. It's Enter the Dragon. It's Kung Fu, the game Kung Fu. Like it's all of those. You have to go up the 7 tiers, defeat the 7 gods, so you can get to your boss battle. That's the whole anime.
But one of the funniest moments is when Akane cooks for Kieran the first time.
Fucking hell.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, Akane is you're right. Akane, let me set the scene for them. So Akane is being held prisoner. She's going to be his concubine. She's chosen to be married to Kieran. Now she didn't choose it. Kieran chose it for her. And they're trying to feed her and she's like disgusted because all they're giving her is rice with pickled vegetables on top of it. And she is appalled by this. So she takes it upon herself to prepare a meal. She prepares food for Kieran to show him that there's shit in the world better than rice and pickled vegetables. Now, listeners, You may not know this, but Akane is
The worst.
She can't cook.
The worst. This is not the person you want to be your ambassador of savory.
Right.
This is not the person that you want to diplomacy of culinary. This is not the person who you send on the front lines of tasty treats. It's not Akane. Yet somehow she is like, you know what?
I'm gonna do it anyway. You
Yeah,
got to give her
she's
credit.
like-
She never stops trying.
Right. She's like, you know what? The worst they've had, all they had is rice
Just
and
the
pickled
visual.
vegetables.
Ugh.
Yeah, Akane was like, this is a low bar. I can beat this. Even I can beat this. She
And that bar just hit her.
she decides she's gonna cook for Kieran and prove to him that there's food better out there. And
He
to her
almost
credit, he didn't hate it.
Oh, he almost dies.
Back off! Back off!
It almost killed him.
Oh man.
I have to
So,
admit,
yeah.
when that happened, when I saw that part, I was like,
It's
I
like,
was-
I
I
will
lost it.
drink a vat of vinegar rather than eat Akane's food.
Oh, the best part was when Rama went, she's a terrible cook. You can't. She's terrible.
like, hold on. Are you sure this is what she wants? He's a terrible cook.
can't.
Oh man.
Her food is awful.
It's great. Yeah. It's such a great moment. And she finds out that they are dietarily restricted to the worst version of a diet someone can have, where their bodies can only digest rice and pickled vegetables. No logical person would have ever considered that, but they berated her like she had made this
Whoa.
huge error. And it's like, bro, nobody lives that way. Nevertheless. So yeah, it's tower defense. The characters are all martial arts experts that go fight these 7 lucky gods to save Akane, and each one of them presents their own challenge and their comedic flair. And then things get more serious the longer it goes on. Like each challenge becomes, and then they give you a little bit of levity. It's we'll kind of talk about it.
When they first get to, when they finally get sent an invitation, right?
Right. Yeah.
And invitation says, come to our wedding bliss and nuptials or whatever.
Neener,
Right.
neener, come and get us.
Right,
It was
right.
a wedding. It was a wedding invitation that was veiled as a challenge. That's right. Yeah, and of course he takes it as such. Kieran is remarkably in love with Akane very, very quickly, which happens to everyone. The Ranma 1/2 anime is like every harem anime you've ever watched rolled into one anime. Because everybody has a harem of suitors. Ranma is extra lucky because Ranma has suitors from both sexes.
Genders.
Yeah,
Yeah, both sexes.
just absolutely. Ranma's got all the suitors. Kuno's chasing them. It's always funny because everybody falls in love with her. And Akane is no different. Every villain is infatuated with it. And Kieran is immediately head over heels, willing to poison himself. Akane's cooking to prove a point.
Especially weird since, Nabiki's the better sister.
Nabiki is without a doubt. But, I mean, Kasumi's the Mary of the 3, and then if you're playing the game, you marry Kasumi. You can figure out the other 2, but you marry Kasumi. So, Ranma and company, they managed to sneak onto or stay into the hull of the ship that they're trying to rescue Akane, and they use Hapusai as a grappling hook. I fucking loved that shit. It was great.
Right?
Because they knew that his pervy powers would pull him up. And it just, he's got the rope tied around him. He's like, oh, pretty lady. Like, everyone, I fucking lost my shit at that. I don't know why he's
Yes, when that happened, that was the best part. I was like, oh my God.
The man is sustained by his sex drive alone.
Hey, That's called heroism.
That's called heroism. Oh man. Ranma and Lychee and of course Jasmine are the first to leave to go fight the seven lucky gods to ascend the tower of Akane, and they first arrive to fight the Guan Yu character whose name I had to write down. Bishamonten. To write it down because it was long. That's a lot of words. A lot of syllables. And he's not gonna let them pass easily. And Hapasai comes to the rescue because he's just really horny. Really wants to see the female god. And just drops a grenade on the whole situation. And that's the kind of thing about Ranma that I love is it's like you're expecting sometimes you're like you're gonna get an epic battle. This amazing fight where they're like doing lightning strikes and it's like DBZ level insanity. And then sometimes you're set up for
Super
a fight.
easy.
Yeah, you're set up for a fight and then you get shit like this. Like
Super
this.
easy, barely inconvenient.
Barely an inconvenience. Hapasai drops a grenade on the whole thing. God number 1. KO. They're out. And then you get the next one where it's the twin, the little brothers, and they're playing Go. And then you're like, oh shit, like that's a challenge. And it actually is a challenge. Like it takes Ranma a couple beats to figure out what the fuck's going on.
But even then, that was a pretty brilliant strategy what he used.
It was. You can't fault Ranma. He was
Until
a
he
problem
punched
solver.
the go board. Then that was
He couldn't get out of his own way. He was doing so well.
he was like, I know how to end this. And he punches it. And you know it's bad when the bad guys go, what did you do?
The whole fucking floor splits and the whole temple splits in half. And you're just like, oh, yeah, you didn't think that one through, did you, buddy? It's really great though. I enjoyed it. And I don't play Go. I've always wanted to learn to play Go. I know the premise of Go, but I'm pretty sure it's not how you play Go.
No, I'm pretty sure you don't punch the board.
I'm pretty sure you don't play Go that way.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's not three players at one time as well.
That's the
Black,
new
white,
version.
and then Ranma. So
Black, white, and Ranma. I want to play Go. I'll be playing Ranma. So that's gate 2, right? And then gate 3 is the big motherfucker, who is
Yo,
Buddha.
yo,
He's Buddha.
like,
He's
you
Buddha.
know what it is, and
Yeah.
it was by far a moment from like Dodgeball. Flirty and run.
It's such
Yeah.
it's such a wholesome moment. This big
Wholesome.
Buddha. Wholesome. It was wholesome. This big Buddha but comes out. Rama's ready to throw hands. And then Jasmine comes out, and the two of them are just enamored with each other. And once again, expectation subversion. Ranma doesn't have to fight the Buddha because the Buddha's just hanging out with the elephant.
I'm pretty sure Lychee's from his world, right? From his land, right?
Yeah, Lychee's from that area. Yeah, so the elephant shouldn't be new. You should
Right.
really like the elephant. So yeah, so Jasmine is left behind and continue on their adventure. This is where now you get escalation, right? And then they fight the girl, Mon or what she's called, and she plays a
Lute.
Yeah, a lute. Thank you. And she uses her strings as weapons. It's really clever. I actually really liked it.
Mhm.
And she's got Ranma on the ropes. Like she did, really good job. But it's a great fight. It's the whole thing's animated. This whole fucking anime is great. Like really well done. I can't fault it for that at all. The quality of this, the fight scenes, the animation, great stuff. I wrote it down. Phantom restriction attack. That's what they called it. She uses the strings of her lute to bind them and hurt them. And she's got Ranma on the ropes, but of course, Shampoo can't hurt her hubby because that's one of his many affianced. Yeah, so she comes to the rescue. And I love Shampoo. Like I just do. I think she's great. Shampoo and Ukyo are like two of my favorite Ranma characters. So Shampoo coming to the rescue, I'm always there for it. But they don't show how the fight ends. But that's
Right.
okay. It's not really the point. It's not the point of the thing.
It was let me break him free. You keep on going. I'll stay here and I'll fight.
Exactly. It's like,
Right.
you go on ahead. This bitch is mine. And you're like, fuck yeah. That's the episode I want to watch. But they keep going. And then they get to the little guy. I'm gesturing with my hand. Like he's like 3 inches high. This dude's tiny. He's Hapusai size. He's really small. And he's the last boss. And you're like, oh, it's the last boss. Here we go. You know, so he's the Sagat before the M.
Yeah, he's
Bison.
supposed to be,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he's just, none shall pass, I say. Literally everybody fucking passes.
Right.
Everybody.
It is
He's
walk right past him.
anti-Gandalf.
He's
Anti-Gandalf.
Yeah, he's freaking 7 inches tall. Everybody just stems all over this guy. It's great. It's fucking hilarious. Ranma's notoriously had issues fighting Kieran because Kieran never drops his bowl of rice. And because he never drops his bowl of rice, homeboy is deadly with chopsticks. So Ranma can't best Kieran. He
Can't penetrate his defenses.
just can't. Thank you, Brian. Excellent descriptor. Cannot penetrate Kieran's defense. And this has proven to be a folly of his.
We should also clarify that
Yeah.
Kieran's chopsticks are like a foot long.
They are absurd. Like it's
They're
Right,
they're
they're
cooking
cooking
chopsticks.
chopsticks.
yeah.
He's
they
using
yes.
chopsticks.
It's amazing. It's truly. I mean, I know it's animation, but I'm impressed. Like homeboy eats his rice and pickled vegetables with foot-long chops, and he doesn't miss a beat. And he fights with them. No notes. Well done, sir. Everybody gets to the tower before Ron, and
Yes.
everybody decides they're going to challenge Kieran before Ranma even gets there. Kieran's amazing chopstick ability leaves them all immediately defeated, which is for comedic
Par for
value.
the course.
Yeah,
for the
comedic
course.
value. But, you know, there are characters on there who probably could have done it. I'm just saying. Ryoga's awesome. Everybody else can fuck. Ranma arrives at the scene. Akane is flush with love. She's just so happy to see Ranma, which is always funny because she's bitching at him the whole fucking anime. And then he shows up and she's like, oh, or if he doesn't show up, then she's like, well, where's Ranma? It's like, bitch, you've been
You just-
yelling at him the whole time. And that's
Why does
Then
he want to
that's-
come?
that's the beauty of their relationship, the chaos of it. Like they get each other in a way that only they can. And
Like you will see this and you see, oh, I love Ranma 1/2. You know, you probably like Joker and Harley Quinn too, don't you?
yeah, right. And a little bit of that going on for sure. Yeah, so it's great. It's always, you can always count on it. Like that's the thing with Ranma, like Looney Tunes, Ryan, you can always count on the turn. You know when the beat's going to come. Akane's going to be mad at Ranma. She's going to hate Ranma. She's going to sympathize with the other character. But as soon as the other character is like an actual challenge, she's got Ranma's back. And that's what happens in this too. She's got Ranma's back. Ranma shows up. She's, oh, Ranma. And you're like, of course. What the fuck? Come on. Everybody else is here. You didn't think he was going to come?
Right?
Anyway. So yeah, so he shows up and he battles Kieran, and it doesn't go great again for him. And then he uses his brains and figures out a way to penetrate Kieran's defenses. It's clever.
Mm-hmm.
Is it feasible? Absolutely not. But it's clever. Give him that. He uses hot water to penetrate Kieran's defenses, and I love that they're very specific when
But where he's attacking from.
Right, yeah. He punches the ground to
He dick
split
punches.
to split the building in half, basically, and he opens up a. Which, by the way, if you could punch that hard, ain't no chopstick in the world gonna. But I digress.
I know.
So he punches so hard that he opens up a hot spring, and everybody's very quick to say, "Oh, it's a hot spring of water," because they want you to understand that just because Ranma's gonna be wet here doesn't mean he's changing.
Mhm.
So then he kicks up water and uses it to as a punch. Basically, punching Kieran with bursts of water. So he's super soakering Kieran to death. It's successful. Kieran can't figure out how he's penetrating his defenses.
Basically, it's a bidet punch
It's a bit
for our wonderful viewers. It's a
That's
bidet
right.
punch.
post-COVID, everybody understands it's a bidet punch. So it's that feeling, that first time. That's what it was. Is that first when you finally got one, you're like, oh, this is oh no. That's what happened to Kieran over and over again.
I'm not gonna lie. I do feel cleaner with a bidet. I'm not even gonna lie.
This isn't about that, Brian. But we're very
It's not
proud of
about
you.
me. It's not about me.
Whirlwinds, tornadoes, hurricanes, water everywhere. It's a big swirly vortex of doom. And Kieran spirits Akane away yet again. Tries to, but Ranma gets her. It all works out in the end, of course. Ranma rescues Akane. Everybody survived. Literally everybody survived. Because people don't really die in Ranma 1/2. They just get changed or come back. Or get their ass whipped once and are oddly comfortable being friends with that person after. And that's okay. Misunderstandings, though. What I did like about this was that the end credits do give you an epilogue when you're watching it. And you do see that Lychee does end up kind of with Kieran. And you're like, okay. When she's talking, you're not sure how it's going to go. But during the end credits, you see them together. And you're like, okay, so they worked it out. And I know I powered through that like really fast. But it's a very simple plot. It's not a very long anime.
Right. It's not deep or, requires any deep knowledge of everything. It's just sit back
Not
and
at
enjoy
all.
the ride.
Fun little romp. This is more to talk about Ranma in general. I do want to talk about the second movie, Nihao Mai Kankima. Watch that. But for this, is sort of just our intro to Ranma. And just the absurdity of it. So I'm going to take this opportunity to ask you guys questions.
Uh-oh.
Do you have a favorite character in the series? Vic, you get to go first. Who's
Didn't
your
I already mention that Nobiki's better?
is Nobiki it?
It's a
Nobiki.
tie between Nobiki and Shampoo.
Man. So I love Nobiki Tendo. She was easily my favorite of the Tendo sisters. She's sassy. She's smart. She's motivated by money. I respect that. Brian, do you have a favorite?
I have to say probably Moose and Shampoo.
I fucking love Moose. He's so great. All right, Lynette.
Shampoo, mostly because she turns into a cat. And it's a
She's-
rainbow cat. So she turns into like
It
a rainbow
is.
kitty. So I was like, yeah, that's
It
one.
is a very prim and
then
proper
Moose-
cat. That cat was
Mhm.
dolled up before it drowned.
Right?
All right, so the next question.
Yours?
Oh no, oh man, I really like Ryoga. I am not Ryoga in any stretch of the imagination. I do not look like Ryoga, do not act like Ryoga. I do not have the martial arts skills of Ryoga. I have a sense of direction. So I'm very much the antithesis to what Ryoga is. However, I love Ryoga. I don't know what it is about that lost idiot, but I think he's great. So he's and every time he shows up, I know I'm gonna have fun because he's on Ranma's level, but he's just not on Ranma's level.
I love the can of whip ass he brings with him.
He does, and he always gets a moment. He always gets a moment to shine because Ryoga's tough as shit. Ryoga is strong as hell. I would say he's the Ken to Ranma's Ryu. Yeah, and so I've always been a fan of that type of character. So all right, next question is: if you go to Jisenkyo, what spring do you jump into?
None.
I know better.
I like my wang.
I would need a detailed list of every single spring before even deciding.
Look. My luck. I'm going to get the animal I don't need.
Brian's going to come out as a platypus.
Right. My luck? Are you fucking kidding me? I need to keep my no. Send me to the Sahara Desert. Do not. Fuck that. No. And seriously, which one really got the best one?
I'm gonna go with Genma. I think the dad turning into a panda is like about the best you can do. I mean,
I love his signs. I love his fucking signs. I love he reads the signs like
yeah, like
Like he'll look at the sign and he'll draw attention to. Are you not reading what I just
Yeah,
said?
right.
Just want to
'Cause
make
he had to
sure.
write. He had to write that shit like super fast. So he has the Sharpie on hand. He's like double checking his writing. Uh, I feel like that's like honestly, if you're gonna have to throw hands, you're a martial artist for a way to up the game. Turning into a duck isn't gonna do it. Turning into a cat's not gonna do it. But turning into a fucking bear, like that's you gotta admit. I mean, even if it is a panda, not exactly the most ferocious, but still, I'll take it. Especially because it's a giant ass panda.
You seen Encanto?
Yeah.
All right, the damn what's the name of that animal that's in it's kind of like a platypus, but
The capybara?
yes,
All
that
right.
that would be my fucking luck. Something with no ferocity
No
and
defense skills
Just a chill
whatsoever.
rodent.
yeah, the chillest rodent. Like would I get honey badger? No.
So there's this series, as we said, it's anime royalty. It's had like, I don't know, 850 games or some shit like that. They made a ton of video games for this. And I can honestly say I don't know the character that's appeared in the cartoon, but in the games there was a character that fell into several springs. And so then as a final boss character, he's like a bunch of different animals rolled into one. He's like a chimera. And you got to fight this character. The listeners who have more religious with Ranma can tell me who I'm talking about and what the deal is. But yeah, then there's like I looked at 17. They had 17 video games in the Ranma franchise. Most of them are fighting games, but 17 games.
And
That's a-
one made it to the US, but they totally changed the game. They reskinned it essentially.
They did. My sister had it on the SNES. Hard Battle, I think it was called, or something like that. It was Ranma and a half.
Oh God,
But yeah, that was a fun one. I was amazed that had happened. Because her system wasn't modded. It didn't go to the Vic Emporium of SNES modding. So
Oh, modding a Super Nintendo is literally breaking off 2 clips.
I was trying to
Dude,
give you
dude.
some credit, man.
come on, man.
I know we're gonna do some more Ranma material in the future, but let's go ahead and we'll start to wrap it up. We'll start talking our final thoughts about Ranma 1/2. I don't want to say in general. We definitely want to keep it sort of about the movie, but considering this is our opening episode about Ranma, you can let it rip. Let's know.
I will go
let's know
first.
about Ranma. Go for it, B.
I would have to say that it's clear that it stands up, and especially in today's climate where we're trying to be more accepting of identity. You know, that's one thing. But then you get the fact that it's already been brought back on Netflix.
Yeah.
So in this day and age, Netflix would not have not just brought it back willy nilly. They would have did the research and said, "Can we bring this back?"
Right. Is this something we can do? Like,
They also had to pay for that.
oh yeah,
Pay for that,
this is
so
getting some good money of it.
Mhm.
Right. So
That wasn't like something that they could. This wasn't like Tom and Jerry. This
Right.
Right?
This was like getting the One Piece license. Honestly, it's like getting the One Piece license. And for them to get Ranma, it was a big deal. You're right.
So I will say that with that being said, it actually makes our job a little bit easier in terms of determining does it still hold up. Instead, something we can do is like, what are some things that you can do to make sure you can enjoy this better? Especially from if somebody has not been exposed to it before, what are some things we can do for ourselves? Is there anything you need to set aside or turn off? What part of the brain do you need to turn off to make this flowing through a little bit easier?
It's a good question. It's a very approachable series. Like it doesn't punish you for not following along. It doesn't berate you with too much information. It's very approachable. It's definitely accessible to to a broader audience. Like, there's not even a lot of there's no political landscape. There's no nothing. It's just a good time,
Uh-huh.
and I think you can just have a good time. You're
I
gonna be
have
okay.
I have often through our many episodes, and our longtime listeners will know, Vic has used that phrase pretty consistently. I'm able to watch it, just turn my brain off and just let it play. And I push back against that. Since one, I can honestly say that it was much easier for me to turn it off because I found the constant bickering
Mhm.
at first, knowing as fuck, right? I was like, damn, all the toxicity. And then once I shut that off, that need to have a Urkel and Laura type relationship,
Right. Definitely.
once I turned it off, I was able to even enjoy it. And even having the conversation with you guys have been my peers this entire time, right? And seeing your joy is a complete opposite than something like Ponyo, where I don't know how I missed the mark.
You odd man out on that one.
I will say, Brian, I have watched it again since that episode, and I understand more what it is you found enchanting and what about it. Did that change my particular ability to
No.
enjoy it? No, but I understood why it's beloved. I also understand it wasn't. It's just not me.
I think that's that's a great word to use for this. It's not like we had to be enchanted. Is a perfect word. You know, we often see that there's often rose-colored glasses or something like that. But really, what it comes down to is how were we enchanted? And this one was more of anything. It was enchanting somehow.
Yeah, there's
know,
a charm. There's a charm to it.
yeah, especially
I
when you
agree.
see the other characters. It's not just about while the relationship between Ranma and Akane is supposed to be the driving force of it. Man, everybody coming through and doing what they do. It's like a Justice League type thing. It actually felt like those moments of shine really stood out for me, and they do their moments well. Use
They
them
do.
well.
I agree. They do. Yeah, they give everybody a time to shine, and every character is treated with respect. Like nobody's shortchanged. You know, even
Right.
characters you're only there for a minute, they get their fucking. I agree. It's Takashi's so good. All these characters are so well written. They really are. It could be you could make an argument that some of them are one note, but they're not. Like they're complex and they're layered. Every one of them. Moose's motivation, his love of shampoo, that's his driving force, and that it's so genuine. Like he's just written in such a genuine way that you can't help love that idiot. Like Moose he's so good.
But I actually felt like his love for shampoo is comparable to the person shampoo is.
Go on.
Right? She has that idiot quality of her damn self.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
But it's not like she's getting the brainiac of the group after her.
He's her match, even if she doesn't
He's her
see it.
match, right?
Yeah.
And you can honestly see, okay, I would as much as, and again, this is coming from a limited knowledge of the source, as much as I would love to see shampoo, because I think shampoo is better than Akane.
I don't. You're not gonna hear me argue this.
No,
We can agree
so
on that.
as much as I would love for him to get over their betrothal and go for shampoo, it's not like I would feel bad if shampoo eventually got with Moose. I couldn't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
I would feel great about that match. So yeah.
I know we'll talk about it because I definitely want to do Nihao My Concubine, but they have a lot of really great moments. that, and I can't wait to talk about that.
Right.
It's excellent stuff. I love it, B. Thank you. Lynette, why don't you go next? You've been exposed to Ranma
Hmm.
before, and how do you talk me through it? How do you feel about Ranma?
I actually like it. What I actually enjoy about it is kind of like, you know how they say, if an owner and their pet hang out long enough, they begin to look like each other, like the dogs and
Sure.
stuff.
Yeah.
You I see that with the people who get cursed, if they become their animal enough, they become their human side kind of takes into that, right? So like with
Yeah.
Shampoo, she has that flighty, "Ah, da, 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 da," but then when she goes to fight, she fights like a cat, like
Yeah.
like dead on, and then like Moose, he's blind, the poor guy. I mean, he's a duck. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
He's gonna work really, really hard, but nobody's really gonna see anything, right? The
Yeah.
ducks always have their, you know.
Right.
And and the dad kind of embodies his panda self too. If you notice that he's just like, yeah, this is cool, whatever. And then when he turns into a panda, he's exactly the same. He's just like,
Yeah.
it's Save the Animals Week type thing. And I would have to say it kind of reminds me of like, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where he looks like for all the fun stuff to do, and it just kind of like
Mhm.
piles up and piles on, and some of it's serious, but mostly it's just a lot of fun. I found my mom was actually drawn to it. She walked past as I was watching it. She's like, "What is that?" And then she actually sat down and just goes, "I don't really get this. I don't know what's going on," but she still watched it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
enjoyed it. So that to me is a very good indicator that it 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 stands up and people should watch it.
It.
Stop listening to us. Go watch it.
And again, it's so approachable, and like Brian said, it's enchanting. Like there's something about these characters you can't help. You just like you want to watch them do their thing.
Hmm.
So I respect that a lot. I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
Vic, buddy, you're up next.
Is it a masterclass in theatrical writing? Absolutely not.
No.
Is it freaking hilarious and should you watch it regardless? Absolutely. It's that
There you
simple.
go.
It's a fun watch. You don't watch Ramna for a deep, fulfilling storyline. You watch it because it's hilarious, it's fun to watch, it's just a fun show in general. Right? And with that, it's like you should watch it. And if you don't want to sit there and watch, go through 160, what is it, 180 something episodes?
161, I think. But
160 something
yeah.
episodes, the movies, the OVAs, whatever.
Yeah.
Then at least take the trip over to next Netflix world and watch that because so far so good.
Yeah. So far, so good. I'll give you that. Yeah. Compared to
So
what I've seen, so far, so good.
it's not like a bunch of other 80s, 90s anime where they're a product of their time. Ramna is still freaking hilarious. It's a fun
It-
watch. So watch it.
Yeah. Ranma 1/2 is it's one of those anime that I got introduced to is staggered order. I never finished it because it's just a lot of anime, but yet I am profoundly in love. Like I love it for its silliness. It's wholesome while also being maybe a little pervy, and it's violent but funny and also romantic. Like it's all of these things wrapped up into a cute little pink pigtailed girl bow, and I love that about it.
Or boy, depending on the water.
Or boy, depending on the water. I will say that for what it is, there is something about it that should be noted that's maybe a little deeper than people give it credit for.
Here we
And
go.
it's that Ranma doesn't learn to just be a girl. He learns what it means to be a girl. Like throughout this series, there are moments where he hates that he's a girl, and then there are moments where he weaponizes it, and he uses it, and because he understands his own sexuality, and he understands like he's a pretty girl, like he's becomes very self-aware of what it is to be a girl and how that can be a benefit and a hindrance in the world that he exists. So he jumps between these genders dare I say the word fluidly. It's really, really clever because he starts off so miserable with it, but by the end of the series, if you watch some of the later stuff, he's grown as a person and he's grown to understand the power of that change. It's really cool. I give it a lot of credit. It's not the crux that holds Ranma together, but it is a genuine beat of character growth from him that I love in watching Ranma. But it's great. It's just such a fun little romp. I don't know how best to describe it. It's just fun. It's just fucking fun.
Like girls just want to have fun.
And if you're not watching, if you're not watching the Netflix one, it's okay. The Netflix one is great. I have a soft spot, rose-colored glasses, whatever, for the original. Don't hesitate to hunt down the original. The original's worth your time. The new one's good, but I will argue the old one is maybe better for little things, just little things.
Mm-hmm.
They both capture the manga really well. They both capture the essence of Ranma really well. The episodes are almost beat for beat. But there's something about that. There's something about the way they did it, the OG one, that I prefer. Maybe it's just the mindless midlife musing
You can
aspect
see
of it.
if they were going to release Ranma, they would have to tweak it.
I do. I
Or-
respect that when they decided to remake it, that they took it in a direction that was, appeal to more modern animation style changes, the color shifts, the palette's a little softer. Like there's a lot to be said for the new look. I don't know. I find something about the original. There's a charm there, and it's worth your time. It's so worth your time. You shouldn't sleep on Ranma, man. It's worth it every minute. I don't know if it's worth $35 for 25-minute episode, but it's worth it's worth watching if you can find it at a reasonable price. Because good lord, even the fucking laser discs for Ranma is still stupid expensive. Like everything Ranma is expensive. I don't understand.
Don't think Amazon's gonna save you. You go look on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
No.
And eBay, those
Amazon.
guys, they know what.
Yeah.
It's like you can't get around it. So, but do check it out. If you don't want to try and tackle 161 episodes, I still haven't tackled 161 episodes in the 30 fucking years that I've had access to the series. Pick anything, Ranma. You can't. As far as I've seen, you can't pick a bad one. You're gonna have fun no matter what. So, that's gonna do it for this show. So until next time, keep calm and pickles!
You've just been privy to the mindless midlife musings of the anime nerd, presented by Geek Grotto. For show notes and corrections, or for general geeky fun, you can visit our website at geek-grotto.com. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, please like, follow, and subscribe.